Okay, we're back. You can see I've got everything cleaned up. I've got the head on the bench, it's cleaned up. Everything's ready to go. We're fixing to put this head back on. First thing we're going to do is grab the head gasket. Now the orientation of the head gasket is important. Okay, now it's important to remember here, because you could actually do it like this or do it like this. Important to remember, you see that these are open in this gasket here, these are closed, just like a 302. It's like a 5 liter for you younger guys. So we definitely have to make sure that that's towards the front. So we're going to go ahead and slip that over the dowels. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And I have it upside down, which is why it won't work. So that's good to know. Your dowels go in the big holes. Boy, that would have been a catastrophe, wouldn't it? So anyway, got that on there, it's set. Now we're going to bring the head over here and set it on. And here's the head. We are going to set it right on the dowels. Try to keep everything clean here. There we go, and there we go. Okay. Gotta tell you, that's a heck of a lot easier than a steel head. Alright, so we got long bolts and short bolts. Long bolts go on the top. Need to lightly coat these with oil. I did put some 10W30 on there. We're just going to get them started. Okay, now the short bolts, we got to put some thread sealer on it. I'm going to do that real quick here. There is some thread sealer. We'll get that started right there. That's going. Let me get the others going here. Just take a second, but sure didn't want to do this beforehand because then this thread sealer would be dry. Okay, so torque sequence. Tell you what, real quick, I'm gonna pop over here to the board if I can, just to kind of show you what we. Oh, there's the Galaxy. Gotta get back on that. Okay. So what we just did. Here's the front of the engine. We'll be torquing sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Step 1. I'm gonna go through these steps, 15 foot-pounds in this pattern, then come back 30 in this pattern, then 37 in this pattern. Now, this is where things get dicey right here. Step 4, from this point forward, we're gonna do it individually, okay? What that means is we'll go back to the sequence, and the number 1, we're gonna loosen it 2 to 3 turns. We're not loosening the other bolts. For the long bolts, we're going to retorque it down to 33. Like this would be a long bolt up here. We'll torque it to 33. And then we'll tighten it an additional 180 degrees. I'll take us to that step on video where we do number 1, because then it's just going to be repeat 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So step 1, 2, and 3 we go through the sequence. Step 4 we do them individually through steps 4, 5, and 6. We'll loosen it. I'm probably going to loosen about 2.5 turns. Then long bolts 33, short bolts 14, and then tighten an additional 180 degrees. So let's give this a whirl. Okay, so had a little concern there when When I put that head gasket on, I had it upside down. Was trying to put it on, pointed out that the dowel rod holes were bigger. I flipped it over. I wanted to make dang sure that I had those passages. Like here's the old one. I need to make sure these passages were in the front. Actually, I got it backwards again, like that. And I went back and looked at the video just to make dang sure. And we're good. I did have it correct. So, step 1, 15 foot-pounds. We're going to go in sequence here. Number 1. There we go. Then we'll pop down here. This is going to be tight. I may have to use my other. Where did it go? There it is. Thought I had it here. Okay, 15 foot-pounds. Okay, there we go. Now back up here to 3. 15, 4, 15, 5, 15, 6, 15, 7, and 8. Okay. Okay, there's 15. Now we're going to bump it up to 30. Adjust the wrench here. Right at, that's actually 20. We want 30. Okay, now same sequence. Now we're bumping up to 30 foot-pounds. Number 1. There we go. Number 2. Okay. Number 3. There we go. Number 4. Okay, then back to the front. 5 and 6. Okay, 7 and 8. Okay, there's 30. Now we're going to bump up to 37. Bump up to 37. There's 35, 36. We'll call that 37 right there. Okay? Same sequence. This is step 3, 37 foot-pounds. We want number 1. There we go. Number 2. Okay, number 3. 37. Number 4. 37, back to the front, 5. There we go. Number 6. Number 7. And number 8. There we go. Now we're at 37. All right, now here's where the fun starts. So, we're going to start at number 1, right here. I'm going to loosen that 2 to 3 turns. I'll do 2.5. So, I don't know if I can take it. Let's see. Loosen it. Alright, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That don't make any sense. Because that's totally loose now. 2, 3, 4. That's 2 and 2/4 turns. Okay, that's loosened. Let me check the book on that again. Loosen 2 to 3 turns. Do not loosen all bolts at the same time. Right, very good. So now I want to tighten that back down. That's a long bolt. So now I'm going to tighten that down to 33 pounds. Let me back this down a little bit. Let's get it back down to 30 and 35. There we go. Okay. Now we gonna tighten this. If we loosened it all the way, like I said, I guess 2 to 3 turns means you want to get it all the way loosened. You're letting it come back up, and then now you're resealing it at long bolt 33 pounds. Okay, that's it. Now tighten an additional 180 degrees. Hopefully I can do it with this wrench. 180 degrees, I'm going to do 290s. There's one, and I can already tell I'm going to need my big wrench for this. And I've got it out. Get it all the way up here so it doesn't. So we did 90 degrees. Need an adapter. Doggone it. Where's my adapter? There it is. Okay. Now, 180 degrees. I already did 90. I'm going to do another 90 degrees on this. Okay. Here we go. .33 long bolt, 33 pounds. Tighten additional 90 degrees. Good Lord. That's why these were so hard to get off. There it is. Number 1 is done. So number 1's done. I'll go back. I'll do the other 7 head bolts in sequence, just like that. And then we'll come back and work on getting the intake on. Now we're ready for the lower intake. It's late. I'm tired and I want to go to bed, but I need to get this done tonight because I'm going to put a little bit of RTV in these corners, right here and here. What we're going to do, we're going to put a little RTV in the corner. We're going to put on the intake gaskets, and then we're going to hit those corners again with RTV. Then we'll get the head gasket or the lower intake in. Now, lower intake. Let me show you this here. Let me get back over to the board. Just take a second. Galaxy that I wish I was working on. Okay. We can see that right there. Okay. So the lower intake, the sequence, you know what, I'll find a link and try to put that down in the comments down below. It's 14 bolts. I'm not going to go over that sequence. It's crazy. But anyway, step 1 and step 2. Once again, it's in the book. The Haynes book is in inch pounds. We'll go 44 inch pounds and 89 inch pounds, which means I'll go about 5 foot-pounds and then I'll go about 8 foot-pounds in that sequence and get that on. Okay? So that's what we're doing here with the lower intake. And you'll get to see it in just a second. Okay, RTV. Down and dirty. We're going to make this quick and easy. Basically all we're going to do, let me get my RTV up in the tube. There we go. We're just going to put a little bead right here in the corner. Right there. Right there. Pretty much on any take, that's the weakest point. We all know that. We're just going to seal this up a little bit. Okay, got it. Now, gaskets. Okay, you probably won't be able to see this on the camera, but this does say left. We've talked about that before. Left is when you're setting in the driver's seat. If a part is for the left, then it's the driver's side. If it's right, it is the passenger side. It also has something that says front right here. It also has two little clips on there, right there. Okay, and or little pins that go in. So that's great. So this is all cleaned. We're going to go ahead and just pop this one in. And boom, everything lines up. We hit that RTV down there. Everything lines up perfect. And if you remember in the head, your head gasket blocks the water in the front. The gaskets for the intake block the water in the back. So they're just trying to get everything circulating to keep everything cool. Okay? Second one. Same thing, except this one says right, this one says right, and this one says front. So this is the front, and that's right. And we're going to pop it in. There we go. Sits right down in the RTV. Come on, clip. Okay, very good. That's all sitting down there good. I notice that is popping up a little bit, but it's going to compress that down. I'm not worried about it. Okay, now your front and end seals. You can't really mix these up because of the shape. This one goes in the front, this one goes in the rear. Okay? We're going to slide this one in. I like these versus the old cork kind. And there we go. That's what I want to see. And pretty cool on these. I don't know. Let me see if I can get focused on that. Nah, I can't focus on that. Anyway, I'm getting better at the camera, but I'm not quite there. These got little teeth, little rubber teeth on it, and it actually fits into little slots right there to help keep that in place. That is pretty cool. So you want to make sure those are popped down in there in place. See, that one's wanting to ride up. Which once again, it's not a problem because the intake is going to set right down on that and press it down. Okay, now we're going to come back and hit about a 1/4 inch bead, or correction, 1/8 inch bead of RTV back in those corners. That's the only RTV we're using on this. Let's get it done. I don't know about y'all, but my back is screaming. There we go. Get that all sealed up there. That's about a 1/4 inch bead, but we'll be alright. Got that, and got that. There we go. Now, we're going to take that intake and set it down in there. Now, this gets a little tricky with these clips and everything, so I got to be real careful. I think I pretty much got everything out of the way the best I can. This is going to be a pain in the butt right there, I can tell you. But I think we got room for it. Okay, let's get this sucker set up right. Okay, got it cleaned. Now, if I remember right, I had to dip it down front underneath with the thermostat housing, which has a zip tie on it. I'll get that off later. Whew! Back breaker right here. But we're going to do it. We are going to do it. Where's the best place to grip this? Okay, so now if I were to line up my holes, we'd be setting about right like that. So I'm going to get this bad boy in here. Nope, that ain't working. I gotta get that light out of the way. Sorry, light, you gotta go. You gotta go. All this stuff's gotta go. Okay, there we go. There we go. I got cords in the way and everything. What an absolute pain in the butt. What is going on here? Ah, there it went. And of course, okay, back seal's on. I need to lift it straight up and back. There we go. And front seal is on. There we go. Okay. I want to make sure that there's no problems with that back seal. I got the tabs in place, no problem. And no problems there. Now remember, the only RTV that we have are on those four corners. So we're not mushing stuff around. And that's just for extra help anyway. I want to make sure I see one tab. And I got the second tab. When I talk about tabs, I'm talking about those front and back seals. They have tabs that go down over, so I want to make sure they're in place. Okay, now 14 bolts. How do I remember what went where? Well, I made a little handy dandy. I do this quite often. I just take a piece of cardboard, front of the engine, rear of the engine, where everything went. Everything here too, I don't know if I mentioned it, everything's been chased. The screws have all been cleaned and chased, so everything should go in smooth. Now it does say to lightly oil these bolts. So I'm going to be a good boy and I'm going to lightly oil them. And what I need, I've just got some 30 weight oil here, rather 10W30, and I am just going to lightly oil these as I put them in. Let's put that right there for now. Okay, so my sequence. Let's see. Number one is going to be right here. So that's going to be a long bolt, which is going to be this one right here. Okay? So I am going to lightly oil that. Lightly oil. Pop it in. Make sure we're lined up. Let me get my... started. Okay, I just heard the camera click, not sure where it clicked off, but I'm just going around kind of in sequence and just hand tightening those. I just did 7. Now I'm going to pop over, do number 8. Then number 9. Which is this back one here. Now number 10. So you can kind of see the sequence here. There's number 10. Number 11 is this back boy back here. Heck, I can't even see it from this angle. Alright, where'd you go? There we go. That was number 11. Now 12 is number 12. Number 12. Oh, no. Wait a second. Wait a second. Alright. Something is not right here. Something is not right. Something is bad not right. Because I see a hole right here. Okay, let me check this out and I'll get back with you. Okay, we're back. So I'm freestyling a little bit here with the camera because I want to show this to you. If I can get a good angle and get focused in here. Okay, so I'm putting on this intake, and I see this. Here's the new gasket, and there's a hole there. Well, I know what that is now, and I'll show you on the other head. I'm like, crap. I'm like, do I have the intake, you know, off too far backwards? But there's no way you can do that because of the bolt pattern, so we're good there. So let's go over here and look at the old head I took off, which is actually the passenger side, the right side. But what I want to show you here is what's exposed is this right here. There's nothing there. It's just a molding hole. Okay, first of all. Second of all, here's the actual gasket that I took off of the driver's side there, and you can see pretty clearly that there is a bunch of crud on here because that was exposed. And this is clean here and clean here, so we're okay. So let me get this camera back on the tripod here, and we'll get her focused, and we'll torque the. I'll go over the first torque sequence with you all, and then I'm going to stop and finish it up, and we'll call it a night. I did forget to mention that. I went ahead and changed the connectors for the fuel injectors because they were so hot, and you know, they've been heated up so much they're brittle. You try to push the little clip to pull them off, and they just fall apart in your hands. They're very expensive if you buy them at your local parts store. $6, $7, $8, $9, $10 a piece. I think I paid $2.50 a piece for these from Rock Auto and got them there. Okay, and they're actually made by NGK. Okay. Not that that makes it any better, but that is a name brand that we do know and we do trust. So, okay, so the torque sequence and the first torque. I'm going to go over the first torque at, wow, it's 3.7 foot-pounds. So I'm going to go 4 foot-pounds. And I'm just going to do this super quick. These things don't get cranked down tight at all. Remember, this is all going into aluminum. You don't want to over crank these. So I've got my little torque wrench set up here, and we will do number 1. Shouldn't take a whole lot. I gotta get that tightened up some more. Okay. Come on now. We've got to be getting close. Come on. No, that's alarming. Oh, you can barely feel it. That one's probably over tight. I'm going to back it out. I mean, 5 foot-pounds, I mean, wow. You know, I know a lot of guys, well, now that's loose. That's not good. Let's get this back. I'm setting it at about 5. Okay. There we go. So there's number 1. Oh, where was number 2? Number 2 is this first one here. Well, I'll tell you what, this is a backbreaker. He's got, oh, that's got to be 5 pounds. There we go, I felt it. That's number 2. Number 3 is right next to it. I guess I need a smaller torque wrench. There we go. Number 2. Oh, that was number 3. Now number 4. Pop back over here. Number 4. I don't know how I'm going to get those back ones. There's number 4. Number 5. There we go. Number 6, we pop back over here, and that is in the middle. There we go. Number 7 is this next one right here. Okay, 7. And then number 8, which is back over here. There we go, number 8. Number 9. Let's make sure I didn't move off my mark there. That's number 9. There we go. And then number 10, which is this one right here. Make sure I got that right. Yep. Number 10. Okay, number 10. Then 11. Is this guy right here. Come on now. There we go. That was number 11. Number 12 is right here. There we go. 12. 13 is that back one. That's going to be fun. I'm going to get my other adapter for that one. There we go. That was 13, and now number 14. I'll do this guy right here. There we go. Okay, so we've torqued them in sequence, 14 bolts. This is the lower intake. We torqued, it's supposed to be 3.7 foot-pounds. I put it at 5. The next one is 7.4. I'll probably bump that up to 8, maybe even 10. And do these, let this RTV sit up overnight right there. And we'll get back in here tomorrow and man, get this thing set back up and try to get it running. Thanks for watching. Okay, it is the next evening. I kind of want to go over what where we're at and what we've done. Last night we got, this is clean, we got the lower intake on. What I have done, I went ahead and rewired all the connectors for the fuel injectors. I took out the fuel injectors, cleaned them, new O-rings, went ahead and got this back in. I got the lifters, the fulcrums back in, and you torque those. Let's see, fulcrums, they're step 2, 26 foot-pounds. Just make sure that the piston is at the top dead center of the compression stroke when you do that. I've talked about that in other videos. So got the valve cover cleaned up, just shot it with some flat black just to make it look decent because all the paint was coming off. I think that's about it. What we're going to do now, we're going to get this intake on. The upper intake, some people call it, or the plenum, which is what the manual calls it. So all surfaces are clean. We got a new gasket. Here's our new gasket. You can see that the front has the seals on it, the bottom does not. Okay, you want the seals up. So we're going to go ahead and put this in place right here. You do have some dowels here as well. I mean, it's that simple, folks. I've also got the base of the upper intake cleaned up, so we're going to go ahead and bring it over here and get it put on. Okay, I can tell you that this is substantially lighter than the intake off the 302. So let's see where we're at here. We got to get in up under things here in the front. We got to get on those dowels. We got to get on those dowels. We got to get on those dowels. And there we go. And I want to check the other side, make sure we're totally seated in the back. I want to make sure I can check and make sure we're seated down here. And we are. And that's seated. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and hand start these bolts. I will start with the long bolts. There's 4 long bolts. There would be 1. There would be 2. There would be 3 long bolts. Now there is a sequence for this also. Like I said, I'll try to put some information down in the link of the sequence for this. Okay? And we got short bolts. How many we got? Looks like we got about 8 short bolts. Make sure everything threads in okay. Yeah, that's going to be good. Before you start cranking on them. No, I've chased all the holes, cleaned up the bolts here. No issues there. Got that going. Now the book says to torque these. Let's see, what's the book say? For the air intake plenum, not plenum, plenum mounting bolts, it says 1998 through 2000. You want to go 53 inch-pounds, which is 4.4 foot-pounds, and then 71 inch-pounds, which is 5.9 or 6 foot-pounds. So you don't need a lot of weight. And then here's a key note here though. Once you torque it to 6 foot-pounds, then you tighten it an additional 90 degrees. You have an aluminum lower intake, you have an aluminum upper intake. Let the gasket do its job, and don't over torque this. You'll either bust the bolts or you strip out the threads in the aluminum intake. So, okay, so when we get done with this, get the small control here hooked back up. Get the bracket back over here for the AC. We'll get that hooked up. Get all this miscellaneous plugs. Get the throttle body, air intake. I'm not going to bore y'all with all that. I'm going to get all this done. We're going to change the oil. We're going to get this bad boy cranked up. Okay? See you shortly. Okay, time to wrap up the Mustang video. The Mustang is done. The Mustang is running great. My oldest son is now mobile, but it's about a week later when I'm wrapping up this video, and I'm going to explain to you why. When I took off the lower intake, I think there's like 14 bolts. This is one of them. It's a little short bolt, it's an 8mm bolt. When we took that intake off, we had to turn it up. And when I turned it up, all the bolts went everywhere. So you've got the option of it going down in the bay area where the cam is open on the top, obviously into the heads, into the port side of the heads, and that's exactly what happened. I got this car back together, was feeling good, was on time, was on budget, and it just ran like crap. It ran like crap. I did everything. I tore the upper intake back off, made sure everything was sealed up. I did some smoke around the intake to make sure it didn't have a vacuum leak. I owned everything I could. The fuel injectors I owned. The new leads that I had put on for the fuel injectors, I checked those. Everything was great. I was just beating my head against the wall. What I didn't check was compression, and I should have done that. Come to find out, this little bolt that I couldn't find, you got another one at the salvage yard. I figured it fell down into the frame rail or something like that, but what are the odds that this fell into the port side of the head, made it all the way through that port, made it down into the chamber, so where that valve comes down, this thing slid, and I looked in there with a flashlight. I could see the valve stems. Didn't see anything. Put a magnet down in there just to check, because I was really worried about this little bolt. So I knew in the back of my head it had to be this, but it had made it down in there, and you got the flat part of the valve. It was sticking through the bottom of the head like that. Luckily, it didn't look like it messed up the valve. It didn't bend the valve. It didn't mess up the valve seat. I only ran it for a little bit. I went ahead and handled out that valve just to make sure. How I found it is I heard a ticking sound on the driver's side, which I didn't touch that head gasket, right? And pulled the cover. Pulled the cover. One of the fulcrums, the lifters, was loose. Well, you can't adjust these. They're non-adjustable. You torque them down to 26 foot-pounds, the top dead center of that piston, and you're done. So it was either a bad lifter, it was a bent rod, bent valve, something like that. And when I pulled off the lifter, the rods were even across. Pulled out the rod, it was no problem with that. But you could notice the valve stem was sitting about that thickness, about a quarter of an inch lower than all the other. And I knew in my heart right there that this was the problem. I just wouldn't admit it. So anyway, after tearing down, you gotta pull the power steering pulley, the power steering, get the whole bracket assembly off, the alternator. Had to go buy the parts locally, and I'm not kidding. I bought Velcro head gaskets on Rock Auto for $10. I'm not going to tell you the name of the store because they're all the same. They're all the same price. But my local auto parts store, I paid $49.99 for this. Didn't have a choice. Had to get this car running. The head bolts, which you can't reuse, I can buy those for $10 on Rock Auto, which I did for the passenger side. They were $24.99. So had to change the oil again. There's another $25. Lost the antifreeze again, another $10. So all in all, you know, about $100 error right there. And not to mention several days worth of diagnosing and trying to figure out what was going on. So the good news, God is good. Found the problem. The vehicle's back up and running. I hope this adds some value. I think I probably need to name this video True Confessions.
you know, things we don't want to admit. But like I said, I knew in the back of my head because I was missing that bolt. And by the way, I got another bolt from the salvage yard that's currently in it. So I'm going to keep this one and display it proudly, probably right up here, just to remind myself when I'm taking out, normally I take out bolts, I put them in a magnetic tray. I should have taken out every one of those lower intake bolts and put them in a magnetic tray. $100, 2 or 3 day lesson learned. So hope you guys find some value in this this video. This one was kind of messy, but I got a lot more coming. I'm going to get back on the LTD with my son. We're going to pull it back in the garage now that it's empty. We've got the Galaxy sitting over here behind the camera. Got to get the last video done on that engine running. Got my electric fuel pump in wherever it is. So anyway, have a great day. Thank you and be blessed.